So we've got the record on. So here we go. So welcome everybody to the veteran business community. I am here with retired Navy Chief Matt Johnson, who lives here with me. Not actually in the same house, but in the same area.
I don't pay rent. I don't pay rent.
In Houston, Texas, big part of the veteran community and a lot of great things that we've got. And also owner of an apparel company, and I'm actually repping one of his shirts here are for our Houston veteran community that he made up. But with that, I want to just dive in and Matt, just a little bit about kind of like your background, kind of where you grew up, how you grew up, kind of family situation, Navy, and then how everything went there through your transition and then moving into entrepreneurship. So we're going to turn it over to you.
Yeah. Well, first off, thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's always great to get into a room where there's a whole bunch of veterans and talk. It's either going to be talking trash or talking how to get unstuck from things, and so that's always a great mantra. Half the time when you're talking trash, you have the best ideas. So, thank you for that. Me, originally born in Texas. I guess you could kind of say raised in Texas. I was a military brat growing up, so my dad was in the Air Force, my stepfather in the Army. So I lived all over the world, traveled all the time, moved like we all did in service. Um, my high school years brought me to back to Texas in Fort Hood, Cavazos, whatever they call it today, in
Mhm.
Killeen. And then that's where I joined the Navy. Joined the Navy to be a CB, did construction for 5 years in the Navy. And then I went from that right after 9/11. I had orders to go to recruiting duty. Went to recruiting duty and stayed there until I retired. So, for everybody out there, yes, you can say I was a career liar, but none of you would be here as a veteran if it wasn't for the career liars. So, you're welcome. Hal knows what I'm talking about.
So does
Um,
David.
yeah, yeah. So, uh, ascended in the Navy from E1, retired as a senior chief in 2019. Got out of the Navy, did the transition, went through all of the TGPS and all those things that tell you how to transition. The biggest thing I learned from that and still learning from that is the Navy teaches us really good, or the military in general, they teach you very well how to do the job, be a military member, soldier, sailor, Marine, uh, you know, airman, and then they don't prepare you for that transition, right? What they need you to do is complete the mission and do the job, and they're good at getting you there. And they don't exactly help on that transition in something that I'm sure they're working on. They throw a whole bunch of stuff at the wall, but it still didn't prepare you to get out, right? You get out and like most of us, and I've seen in some of the recordings we have, you get out and you have that emptiness, right? You don't have the purpose, or you're not leading people anymore. You're not around a whole group of like-minded individuals, and so that kind of creeps in, and you sometimes wonder, what are you going to do? How are you going to do it? So either way, you can't stop on that. You got to keep moving, right? So I started doing some recruiting jobs here and there. I got my real estate license. I was doing all of that. And then just one night, my wife, my son, and I are in the house. My wife drew our original logo for our apparel brand, Got Your Six Culture, and asked if we would wear it on a t-shirt. So I said, hell yeah. And then that turned into a YouTube deep dive on how to do apparel. So from 2021 to now, that's what we've been doing. So right now, we run the apparel business, and then I run a real estate team. So that's what I do now. I'm kind of all in both ways to entrepreneurship, doing your own thing and just working on your own. But that's kind of the what do we call it? The cliff notes of how I got to where
Mhm.
I am a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, a lot to unpack. So, first of all, I got to start off with a joke. So, a Navy recruiter, an Air Force recruiter, and an Army recruiter all walk into a bar.
Uh oh.
So that's pretty interesting because David being Army recruiter, myself Air Force, and you Navy. That's really cool. There's no surprise to me that we're all in entrepreneurship and all started our own business. I think one of the things that we have as a benefit, I think, as being recruiters, is not being necessarily stuck on a base, depending upon where you're recruiting and you're out there in the community and you're already kind of rubbing shoulders and making contacts and things like that with the civilian world. So, but yeah, interesting. So my transition very similar. Like took the skill set that I already had, learned in the Air Force, which was recruiting, and then just kind of parlayed that on the outside. So is that kind of what you thought? You thought maybe because you were, kind of in recruiting, it was just like, yeah, that's just a natural transition. I'll just do it in the civilian world without kind of like thinking about it. Or how did you think about the career transition path for yourself?
I mean, it's a great question, and honestly, no. Never thought about the skill set that I learned as a recruiter and never put two and two together getting out that like you're already in the community, you're already making connections, you're already networking with people. We taught you how to go run your mouth. Just do that when you get out. I never really put those together because me getting out, I was a recruiter. I was in the Navy for, 22 and a half years. I thought I was going to go be this HR director because, that's what we are as HR people in recruiting. And then you get out and realize, oh, wait, you can't just try to solve their problems. You have to let them bring them to you. So like all that intrusive leadership we learned in the military and actually earned the respect of our junior and senior leaders alike is not something that you can do on the outside. And it's actually frowned upon, to be honest. And so that kind of gets you lost. So I got my real estate license because I was like, okay, well, not in the mindset that you were talking of like I can network already, but I was like, screw it, man. I just bet on myself. Like at the end of the day, if I look in the mirror and I fail, it's my fault. Right. And so then you move there. And I still looked for jobs, even though I did real estate and I looked for jobs and did jobs even though I'm doing the t-shirt company. But that transition, I never really thought about it until later that like, oh, as a recruiter, you were doing all these things in networking. Just continue to do that. It took a couple years for me to sit back and go, oh, I've already done this before, right? But
Hmm.
it's different because you have the marketing machine and the power of the DoD or whatever service you were in behind you, right? They've already created all of that talk track and everything that you need to do. I just needed to sit down and funny that we're having this conversation right now. I'm in a complete mode right now of I don't necessarily think you'd call it a rebrand, but a refocus, right? To get more present on social media, to get more present out in the communities and networking events, and actually start bragging about the stuff I do because that's another thing, right? As a business owner, you have to brag about what you do and let people know what you do. In the military, we think of that as being a one of those guys that they think their stuff doesn't stink, and that's not the person you want to be around because it was never just about us, it was about everybody else, right? But now that when you're in business, bragging is showing people what you offer and that's going to bring people to you. And so that is another like mindset shift that I had to kind of like get over, and here recently I got over it and I'm starting to build that a little bit more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense 100%. I never really thought about that perspective. It's like, when you're in the military, you just kind of do the things and you get the awards and you get the accolades and, maybe you hang them on the wall, maybe you don't. You got the I love me wall behind you,
Yeah.
and in your office there. But then, you don't really talk about it and that sort of thing because that's just frowned upon, obviously, in the oh, you're so ate up and you've got, right? You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
Like that's the kind of stuff. And then when you get out here, and especially in business, now you're supposed to be like telling everybody about all the great things
Yeah.
you're doing and, attracting those customers, to you by letting them know how great you are and how good you are at what you do. So I never really thought about that, man. That's a real unlock for me, I think, and a lot of people that are struggling with that.
Yeah, it's just weird because even today, even right now, uh to walk into a networking room, even with other veterans that own businesses, I see a lot of guys that are good at doing it. They'll walk up and sell you their product immediately. And
Hmm.
I'm still in the mode where I'm like, dang, dude, like you went straight for the jugular. Like you didn't want to know anything about me. You didn't ask me any questions. You didn't ask me what service I was in. Like the connection's not there. So there's a lot of guys that are good at like, take this and buy it. And it's right there in front of you. And so some of that works. But from my recruiting background, I think the thing that I took the most from that is you have to develop a relationship with people before you start to ask for things, right? So it's
Yeah.
been really hard to mix those two. And the thing I struggle with the most is the elevator pitch, the 30-second interview of like, this is me, this is what I do, this is what I
Mhm.
offer, right? It just
Mhm.
naturally comes in conversation. And I find that I help a lot of people because just in conversation we talk about what we do. But if you put me in a networking room and go, speed date, go, I
Mhm.
wind up listening to everybody else to learn about what they're doing, and then I connect later, right? Like I don't, I'm still working on that piece, but it's because, like I just said, all my evals are written on what my people awarded for, what they did,
Mm.
how great they were, because it didn't matter about me ever in the Navy. I got the accolades, the promotions, the awards based on what everybody around me did. Was everybody around me successful? Now it's just me. So now I got to kind of look around and be like, dang, you got to write about yourself, right? And so that's what
Yeah.
I'm working through now. So
Yeah. And then also, digging in and finding out about the person that you're talking to, right? And what are their needs? What are their wants? What are their desire? What are they trying to accomplish? And then, how can your product or service help them? And if it can't, who can you connect them to that can help them? Like I always look at, especially in networking or whenever I meet anybody, I look at people as either links or leaders. They're
yeah,
either links that can lead me to leaders of people that I can work with, or they're leaders that I can work with, right? And there's only two, and I just need to put them in whatever bucket I need to. But it all starts from, you know, caring enough about the person to find out about what them and what their journey is and what they're trying to accomplish, and where
yeah.
you can, fill in that for them.
Yeah, it's just funny too. I mean, advice, if I could give advice to business owners when they're starting out and doing that, the thing that I've learned for me is just what you said. Are you a connector? Are you or do you solve problems? Do you help people get connected? I think in business you should lead with all of that. You obviously have a product or service that can fix somebody's need. They need something and you can offer it, right? 100%. However, you also have to make sure that you're willing to listen and understand and know who people are, right? You have to have a good balance there. And then I would say work on your elevator pitch, right? Don't make your elevator pitch your entire history in 2 minutes because they try to tell you everything they've ever done. Work that into, this is me, this is what I do, and this is what it solves. Done. If
Hmm.
there's a good connection, you can meet up later, right? But when you're meeting there, it's like, having that opportunity to do it. And again, I'm still working on that piece, right? Because it's, we are all so excited in what we do and what we're building that, I mean, we could talk about ourselves all day long. It's
Yeah,
like it's
yeah.
like talking about your kids when they're first born. All you want to do is talk about your kid. And then every time someone sees you, like, oh my God, I don't care about your kid, right? Like we already know. And so that's what it is when you jump into business, right? But it's a fine line, and it's just learning how to navigate that world, right?
Yeah.
Again, talk about yourself. Hardest thing to
Hmm.
do ever.
Yeah, it's so funny because I remember when we first met. When we first met, we met at a Veteran Chamber of Commerce meetup here in Houston, and they were doing that speed networking,
Yeah,
which, by the way, I had never done. And I could kind of tell because you were I think one of the first or second people that I sat in front of, and then you basically had these little patches for these hats, and then it was like, okay, what do you do? Well, we do, and you showed me it, and I could tell it was kind of like a little like awkward, but I was like, holy smokes, like I need you. Like I got this
yeah,
event, I need these shirts, right? And it's like,
yeah,
man, when you just put yourself in the environment, it doesn't really matter what you say, like the right people will appear and then automatically be attracted to that, right?
yeah. And that's what I found too. Is like in that event that we were at, they're like, tell them
Hmm.
about yourself. I in that sit down, I think I talked to you. I talked to you
Hmm.
more
Hmm.
than anybody else that I talked to, because everybody else that sat in front of me, we had 2 minutes to meet each other.
Hmm.
Again, I heard everything about them and everything they've ever done. And I'm very interested always in building that relationship and networking and figuring out what you can do and understanding. So I would
Hmm.
never like cut anybody off. But like when they were like, time, I'd be like, by the way, my name is Matt and I do t-shirts and
Yeah,
hats.
yeah,
Right. And they're like, and then they look at you and go, oh my God, I didn't ask you no questions. Like, it's fine. But I know
yeah,
everything about you, so I can call you now.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so it's just that thing, right? And that's the other piece. just be prepared for what kind of networking you're going into. Like as a business, like be ready for any of it. You got a 2 minute
Yeah.
elevator pitch. You need to go do this or do that. And that's where you rock. But yeah, it just so happened that night I was bringing in to show sample patches to people in the chamber because I'm actually about to start doing all of the chamber's hats. Like we're going to make their hats. You're going to be able to buy them for the Houston Veteran Chamber. So for everybody that's on here watching this, when we launch it, you can buy one too. It's
Yeah.
just going to say Houston veterans are the best. It's okay if you rep us, but that was the beginning of that. Make these samples, bring it to people, show them. And so I just happened to have accessories that
Mm.
helped conversation that day. So
That's great. A little show and tell, right?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
good. That's what I love about, kind of like I'm always kind of jealous of people that have these kind of productized businesses because you could literally like bring your products, give people samples of them, that sort of, wear them, right?
yep,
That sort of thing. So I think it's really great. And then, for people with, service type of business, it's really just, a lot like Matt said, and, kind of understand your elevator pitch and moreover, like, who do you help, right? And what can you help them with? But if you have a product, I mean, free samples, bringing things, having a little show and tell,
yeah.
is always great. So that's cool. So yeah, like, I mean, I want to talk a lot about, the networking aspect, because I feel like that's really hard, for veterans. And I think we're a little bit spoiled here in Houston. I'm not sure where it is in a lot of other communities, but we have so many different veteran events going out. But you're also in real estate, right? So real
Mhm.
estate is more of kind of, a service based business. And I know we have a lot of realtors and people in the real estate area here. How do you feel about networking events and going and representing, your real estate business as opposed to the product business, more of a service type?
Two completely opposites of the spectrum,
Mm.
right? It is and again, this is like I said, I'm in a rebuild mode for both, right? Because I
Mhm.
just I'm now focused on doing those two things full time. Super easy to walk in a room and ask somebody if they need a t-shirt because everybody needs a t-shirt, right? And what I personally found, there's not a lot of small businesses that offer t-shirts that can do it the way that we do it. You would have to go to like, Vistaprint online or one of these other ones that are super massive and right. So we're pretty good there. But when you go into a room as a realtor, you're in a room with other realtors. That's how
Mhm.
they network, right? Realtors network with realtors. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. You do real estate too. And so that is the piece where it's a little difficult, right? Because if you're a realtor, what I found now is you have to get out there. The networking piece as a realtor is cool to meet other real estate professionals. It's cool to meet a mortgage lender. I love meeting all of them and I love talking to them all. Um, but they're not going to bring me leads because they need them themselves. So now you got to figure out as a realtor how to do it. So the networking piece I'm fine with. I love meeting people. I love talking to people. I love getting to know them. I love knowing that if they're in for anybody that does or doesn't know, I'm in the south side of Houston. I'm not driving to the Woodlands, right?
Mhm.
That's 2 hours in the same city. So you refer stuff like that out. So you can build a good referral network that you can work with people, but when it comes to getting your clients, not so much. So networking as a realtor is much more difficult, especially if you're trying to generate business, I feel.
Yeah.
So now that's why I said I'm engaged in this whole social media thing. I'm recording videos and freaking using teleprompters and mashing them together and throwing them up and creating static content. My friend Claude and I work together a lot on different things, whether it's like an outline of something. Here's my idea. Here's what I'm doing, and I try to build these things that, like, obviously I'm going to edit to make sure that they hit where I'm at, but you, you have to start building this stuff and get yourself into a routine. So the networking is difficult, and finding clients is even more difficult, right, in real estate because most people think they can do it themselves, which you could. You could
Mhm.
if you're, yeah, if you want, that's great. But then you're, frustrated when they tell you need a lender and then you need an inspection and then you need to find home insurance and then you need to find a title
Mhm.
company and then you need to, all the things that come. You're like, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Well, that's where we help. And then
Yeah.
it's just a whole conversation, right? And it's a little different because in my opinion, as a realtor. Some other people may say yes or no, but the relationship is much more important there, right? Like you're hardly going to meet someone and help them buy a house in 2 days. It just doesn't work that way. There's an interview. They got to get to know you. The other part is getting yourself out there on social media and things like that so they can see the educational content that you put out, see the things that you're saying. They have to be able to relate to you before they talk to you, right? It's, it's a very different kind of
Hmm.
business, right? It's
Yep.
fun, but it's
Yeah.
different.
But I think it's a lot like what we learn in military recruiting, something called COIs, right? Center of
Yeah.
influences, right? And I think that a real estate agent is kind of a center of influence for
Yep.
somebody because even though somebody may not be looking to buy a house, they maybe, need a plumber, right? They need,
Yeah.
a roofer. They need something, to help them with their house that they're at now. And you, as a realtor, are a center of influence and are networked with all those sort of people. So you can really learn to be that connector. And then you're kind of the
Yeah.
go to person in your area that people look to, get help and find recommended sources.
Yeah, my Rolodeck is good. That's what a realtor is. A Rolodeck to help you. Like that's a big takeaway for me. Is like, oh my God, of course. Because I know someone in each one of those things that are very, very good at what they do, right? And so thank you. You just gave me content for the next 2 weeks. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like me. I run the civvy here
Yeah.
in Houston, so we put on our own events. I go to other events. We have a newsletter. We list all events, and we highlight folks like you. By the way, Matt was our first civvy spotlight article
Yeah.
that we did on a local veteran here. So you and I have a very sacred bond with that as being
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
person for that. And actually, you're the first person for me to interview in this veteran business community. So Matt is my go-to
I
uh,
appreciate that. 100%.
for things. So yeah, like when you talk about hosting events, or even if you're not in real estate, but maybe you're in some sort of services. And I write quite a bit about this on my own LinkedIn, and I've written about this also in the group. You don't have to necessarily go to everybody else's event. You can host your own event.
Yeah.
And stand it up with your ideal client profile, right? And then you become that connect. People come to me for all different kinds of. People come to me, hey, do you know anybody who's a real estate agent? Hey, do you know anybody who can help me with my disability benefits? Hey, do you know anybody that can help me, remove some trees on my property? Like people come to me for that stuff all the time, and I am building now my own kind of preferred network of all these different providers that I can start to move people into. So when you're out there and you're doing these events and you're going to events and you keep showing up, automatically, people start to see you and they're curious about what you do and that sort of thing. And it creates conversations. And then really, you can start to, be that connector, and then you be known as that person. Oh man, like, hey, go to Matt. Matt's got a guy. Matt's got a guy. Like who's got
Yeah.
a guy
Yeah.
to do this? Who's got a guy? Matt's got a guy.
Yeah.
Hal's got a guy, right?
For
So
sure.
get out, and it's just kind of the trickle down effect of that, and eventually it comes back to you, right? But what I always tell people is like, don't go to these networking events and things with commission breath, I call it, right? It's just like, I got to get a commission or I got to make a sale, and you're just like
Yeah.
just completely vomiting over people about, I do this, I do that, I'm the best at blah, 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 right? And like that does not attract people to you, right? What attracts
Yeah.
people to you is, your interest in them and wanting to get to know them and how you can serve them.
Yeah, that's why I was saying earlier. The key to that for me is perfecting your 30-second elevator pitch, especially if they have
Yeah.
you do that inside of a meeting. Because, um, again, our businesses are our kids. We love talking about them. We know everything about them. I can tell you everything that my business is going to solve all your problems for. And oh, by the way, I've already broken down your problems before you even told me if you had one.
Yeah.
You don't even need to
Yeah.
tell me. I know I'm fixing this
Yeah.
problem for you. And like, that's the piece that I think is important. What you said, how is like, you got to talk to other people to understand, right? The person you're talking to, you may not be able to ever help them with their issue in business. However, like you put how, oh, let me connect you with someone I know that can help you with that problem. Because then what happens is that person goes, oh, they got me connected with them. this person needs that. I need to, like, again, that's where that freedom of information flows both ways. Uh, but yeah, like everybody has to get to know each other, right? You're building, and in the military, we did this very well, right? For me, I was in the Navy. So if you needed to make sure that you ate good, you made friends with the culinary specialists. Like you didn't piss those guys off. Because if you wanted to sneak something in the middle of the night, they needed to be your friend. You didn't piss off the administrative department either because you want to get paid. There's all like we were networking and we just didn't know it, right?
Yeah.
We did
Yeah.
that all the time. We needed shit and we just somehow got it, right? Commandeered it or borrowed
Mhm.
it or they voluntarily gave it up without them knowing. We were resourceful, and a whole bunch of stuff while we were in. And for whatever reason, I think that's the disconnect getting out is we like forget that we have all these skill sets when we get out, right? Because again, you fed the machine for so many years. The machine already existed. You learned how to operate within that machine, and I'm still working on this. Take all those skills and apply it outside, because now the outside is that whole machine that you can help solve that problem for because you've already done these things. And it's weird. I did it too when I got out. I was like, oh, it's never going to work or whatever. You're down on me, woe is me kind of bullshit. And
Mhm.
then after you start talking to people, they're like, man, they open up and you're like, okay, that's good. Now I can see where I'm going, but just don't be afraid, right? The worst thing you can do is not start, period.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I think, for a lot of people, and we do have a lot of people on here that are just getting started with businesses. Maybe they're just transitioning out of the military, or maybe they've been out of the military for a while now, and they've been in the new machine, right, which is the corporate
Yeah.
machine, and they're looking to kind of break free, into entrepreneurship. And I think that that's a beautiful thing about a community like this is that we're all veterans, right? So, we may have served in different branches, but we all kind of come from that same root, right? So, like, we're always going to want to help veterans. We're always going to want to see veterans be elevated, right? We're always going to want to also help that veteran economy, right, in our local areas or nationally, where we're supporting other veteran businesses. And one of the things that I tell folks all the time that are starting is, if your ideal client, is a person, right? Look for people who have served in the military, right? Because they'll connect with you, they'll take meetings with you, and they'll help you if they're maybe on the other side of where you want to get to. Like, make those connections, because we are part of the largest fraternity in the United States, which is the veteran fraternity, right?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and and that means something, and that is how I built my career after the military, was staying connected to people in the military, veterans that transitioned, and all those sort of things. And I think that that's a key for people. I think we forget sometimes that we have this tremendous network, even if you never served. The majority of military people I know now, I never served with at
Yeah.
all.
Yep.
And you can get out there and you can make those connections with those people, and they'll help you. They'll lend in. Maybe they ain't going to buy your stuff, but like, that's not necessarily your intent. But they could be connectors for you. They could be centers of influence, as we talked about for you.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that I think that comes to mind for me is like we will help each other to no end, right? Like I may have this problem in business, or I may have experienced this problem in anything, just name it. For me, what I just recently went through and fixed was pricing. And how do I price my product, whether it's a direct to consumer, business to business? Is it a wholesale where it's going to be sold at an event by that company that has no sales tax? Like all those are all different pricing models. But forever I was like, oh, I'm just going to all run it like this. So I've done those deep dives. So I figured that out. And if I meet someone, I'll tell them the strategy that I use to do it. Is that like giving you answers to the test? Maybe. However, knowledge is power, right? And the only thing that comes with that knowledge is the power for you to use it. Now, if you don't use it, it doesn't matter. And the way that I do mine and the way that I look at it is the way I do it. But the overall theme or the overall subject of it is this. And you can give those tools without giving how you specifically do it, but you can help them get unstuck. And that's what I've noticed too about being around that veteran community. And half the time they'll tell you the shit sucks before you
Hmm.
even ask them. And that is the other piece that I like, is being back around the veteran community, that unapologetic honesty of like, that is garbage. And you're like offended, but then you go, yeah, he's probably right. Because that person's a veteran telling you that, you're more willing to hear it, right? But if someone who never served, and it's just crazy, someone who never served tells you what you're doing is shit, you're like, what do you know? You never served. You know what I mean? But then when
Yeah.
they tell you and they were in, you're like, nah, they probably got a point. So then you actually take and you look at it, you know? So
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
it's a good mix of like, you can that's why I love seeing in the chats that are on uh the school of, I got this problem, how do I solve it? There was one I saw the other day on like, hey, I'm trying to get into this social media, how do I do it? Like, what do I do? And my answer was like, you just have to do it.
Hmm.
Like, you're going to be awkward, right? I started a podcast this is going into year 4. The first 10, if you watch and be like, these guys suck, because we didn't know what we were doing. But as you go forward, 2, 3, 4 years, we've done better. We've garnered better guests. We've had some high profile people, but for the most part, we just talk to the average person on like, what was service like? What was your transition like? What are you doing now? And our talk track has gotten much better. Business is the same way. Real estate's the same way. The conversation, the layout, how you do it, what you're doing, it all gets better with time. But like I was saying in the post for the guys, that you just have to do it. Like, grab your phone, record it, post it. At the end of the day, the information, it, right? For any of us that are in the business that we're in, the information, what your problem solves. You want to get social media content moving right away. My point to that topic was, you're the expert in that information already. Just record it and put it out there. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't need to be pretty in the back. You don't need to, fix anything. Just do it, right? And that's the piece there is, a lot of times veterans, we do mission planning. But
Hmm.
what we forgot is the mission is never planned perfectly. It's like, this is how we're going to go out there. And if it gets
Hmm.
jacked, we'll figure it out. But in
Hmm.
this business side, we're always trying to be like, okay, I'm ready now. Wait a minute. I saw a squirrel run across my yard. I don't know if that one's going to work. And so then you're trying to plan the perfect entry, start, whatever. You can't do that. You just have to do it, right? There's no good time to do anything. You just have to get started. And so that's, I've learned that probably 5 times, 10 times in the 2 businesses that I run, because I'm always trying to find the better thing. And I'm like, geez, and dude, just do it. Just do it.
Hmm.
And it works
And
out.
guys, the one thing I keep seeing constantly in all the businesses, not only that I coach, but that I've run too, is you never know where the opportunity is going to come from. I could have never predicted. Anytime I had a great opportunity, I said, oh, wait, I knew it was going to be on this platform. I knew it was going to be from that center of influence. I knew it was going to be from this marketing material. That, like, it's always so random. I could have never predicted it. Right. Like when I needed like an extra few $100,000 to close the deal one time, like, I don't know where this is coming from. And all of a sudden, some random thing that I posted like a year and a half ago just came to fruition. And it's like, boom, here you go. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that's the thing. It's commitment, I guess, when you were talking there. And I mean, we had Jordan on, who's on here now. He was on last week, and it always seems like when you're at the end of your rope, right? When times are the toughest, that's when the breakthroughs come through. And it's about just staying consistent and just keep going until you get some break,
Yeah.
don't give up on it. Just, whatever you're doing, just keep pursuing it and keep
Yeah.
trying new shit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to hit on Matt. When we were talking prior to hitting the record button about your podcast. Like, you guys are over 100 episodes, and I can't remember what the statistic is, but I think it's something like less than 3% of podcasts ever hit like 100, or 1% maybe, or something like that. And you guys been at it that long, and have stayed consistent with it.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that. Like, what was, kind of what's that journey been? Tell us about the podcast, how people can kind of tune in, what it's about, because that is probably as tough as the real estate market is, I'm sure.
Yeah, so I will tell everybody out there, podcasting, before I get into, well, I'll get into our journey and I'll kind of go through all of it. But initially for us, like I said, I did a podcast a long time ago, and I would talk to entrepreneurs, right? I'm talking to all
Mhm.
these people that did their business and why they started, and I was trying to turn this into like a motivational thing to show veterans that, after transition, just go own your own business. But then, you know Here's what happens. I got to episode 30 and I was busy in other things and I couldn't set up to record and it was just me and it just falls off. When it's just you, it falls off. Well, fast forward, I don't know, a year later, I met one of my best friends, Ty, who's here in Houston with us at a VFW state convention. When I was working for a mortgage company, we were doing veteran loans. And we met at lunch in a casino. And then from there, it was me, him, my buddy Al. We started a podcast. Like I said, 3 years ago, we're going into year 4 this month. And the thing for us is there's 3 of us, right? So that was a difference. 3 of us, 3 veterans talking to veterans, telling their stories. What was transition like and how did you get into what you're doing now, right? Boom, simple, right? Because at the end of the day, everybody's story deserves to be told. And who am I to say that your story is not amazing? It's your story. You should be able to tell it. And so we bring everybody on. Like we don't have any bias on any of that stuff, right? And you know the things we ask every guest, you know, what they want to talk about. But at the end of the day, we don't write questions down. I'm never going to ask you what you want me to ask you. If you tell me that this is what you need to ask me, you're probably not coming on our podcast because we like it to be that organic, tell us about you. Like that's what we want to hear. And that's what everybody wants to hear is who you are. And so we've been doing that. But what I would tell everybody about podcasting, we're not doing it to be Sean Ryan and Joe Rogan. We're really not. We don't have this dream to be millionaires podcasting. What we're trying to do is share information with people. Now, if people jump onto that, they grab it, they listen to it, and in the future that becomes great, then we're 100% will ride the train with it, 100%. But we don't ever do it to try to rank or be number one or do any of that. Podcasting for us is telling people stories, and that is it, right? So, and my other 2 buddies are, I'm going to say worse than me in this. I don't read the comments. I don't look at what somebody says about us. They'll tell me all the time about how people are talking trash or people don't like what you're saying. I tell them all the time, stop reading that shit. It's just going to make you mad, right? And at the end of the day, if that person's getting mad and they're writing a comment and then everybody else jumps in to either defend us or talk trash about it too, you know what that is? More views, more people seeing it, and it's good. But if you engage with those people, then half the time you're going to say something that you might not normally say just because they got you charged up, right? But it's just fun, you know, talking to people, meeting people. It's like networking without networking. You know, in our t-shirt business, I've helped a lot of nonprofits because that's a leg of our business in the t-shirt companies. We help nonprofits. We'll host shirts for them and we'll co-brand them with our business. And then they have choices to build store credit for events that they need to go to or quarterly. You know, I think we do 25% of the sales of that specific shirt goes to the organization. And it's just a way for nonprofits to make money. We work with a lot of grassroots nonprofits that are still trying to raise money, right? Everybody wants money and there's a lot of money to go around, but not everybody's as good at finding that money as other people, right? And so anything we can do to help. But in the podcasting realm, it's just helped to do that, right? It's just our podcast is the Triple Threat Vet podcast. It's everywhere, YouTube, Spotify, Apple. You can look it up just with those names. We do live every Thursday. And then we post it to all where you get your podcast on Fridays. So on obviously Spotify, you can still see the video portion of it edited. We take out some of what we do in the live show. And then on Apple and all the other ones, it's just audio. But it's all there. People are looking at it. We're getting views on it. And it's been fun. That's just a fun thing that we do every week. You know, there's no preparation for that for us. And I mean, probably sounds bad, but I don't prepare for the interview because I really want to get to know you when you come on. I'm not trying. And we've talked to people we've known in the past. And I feel like those interviews don't go as well as the ones where we've never met the person because I kind of know you and I know which way to, you know, steer it and ask you a question because there's this one story I think is amazing that I want to hear from you. You know what I mean? So it's a mix of both, but yeah.
And we'll make sure to drop those links when we repost this in the community too, under like the recordings. We'll make sure any links that you want shared, whether it be your LinkedIn or those, you know, podcast links, we'll do that for sure. So Hal, we'll just make sure we can grab those. So I have a question. So for small businesses, you know, a lot of people look at merchandise, you know, as maybe a branding opportunity, or maybe they want to try to sell merch, you know, to their customers and whatnot. Is there any advice that you would give people or any success that you've seen small businesses use the branding or the merchandising for to help get their kind of name out there?
Yeah. So I don't know about successes, but mistakes that I've made, I do know that. If you're trying to sell merchandise to customers, my thing that I guess you'd say coach small businesses on when I talk to them, they're always like, I need merch, right? Whether it's a shirt, a hat, they want to do like leather koozies and engrave their logo on them or whatever. I'm like, okay, what are you using it for? You ask them. That's the first kicker. Is most businesses are like, I just need my logo on it. Yeah, but for what? What are you trying to do with it? So I think the thing that makes most small businesses successful is understand what you need that branded merchandise for. Are you just trying to make people a walking billboard? That means you're going to give it away and you're going to eat that cost, right? If you're trying to sell it, then limit people's options. I'll say that again. Limit options. You know, we always want to be a fixer of everything, but I've talked to a lot of customers, some listen and some don't. And again, it's their deal, right? I'll go along with it. But when you offer a product in 20 different varieties, people are going to get decision anxiety, man. They're going to be like, I like the green one and the yellow one. I don't know which one to get. And so that it hurts it, right? So I would tell you, if you're a small business, if you know exactly what you want to sell and we're working with you, I always encourage them, go to your social, go to your LinkedIn, wherever you're doing it, A/B test these two products. See which one everybody likes better, and that's the one that you buy. Don't listen to the guy in the corner that goes, it'd be really cool in orange, and you've never thought of orange. Sometimes you have to make that decision and go on. And then just order a little bit. It sounds bad coming from the apparel guy. I want you to order as much as you can, but if you're just starting, order a little bit. It's better to run out than it sit in your house and your significant other walk by and be like, I can't believe we wasted money on that. You know what I mean? So, you know, only buy a little bit. Make your stuff in demand, right? They know you're coming to the networking event, bro. You better get there early because they always have like 10 of whatever. If you're not in there early, you're not going to get it. And then that makes it something that people want, which in turn makes it something that people are going to come stand in front of you and talk to you for. Because if you don't have what they want, you still get an opportunity to talk to them. So you have to create that aura to it. I don't really think it matters what you're giving out, but if you make it memorable, like everything that I just said has nothing to do with what you just gave them, has nothing to do with your logo, your marketing, your branding. It's like the story of it, right? It's the legend, right? Hal's coming. He's going to have 3 shirts every time he comes. You better get there early if you want one, right? And you never know when he's going to give it to you. It's going to happen here and there. And you're just creating that opportunity for people to come up and talk to you, you know, because they're all coming to get the t-shirt. But we all know after they talk to us, they're going to walk away with something, or we're going to walk away with another connection to give somebody else. So that would be my advice, is like, don't buy a whole bunch of stuff to just throw it out there. You're wasting money. Be very, very selective and really sit down and think about what you're going to do with that. Unless you're just cool with just throwing pins everywhere, then just do that, right?
Yeah, totally guilty here, by the way. One of my earlier businesses was a coffee business, and I didn't know, again, what they wanted. So I'm like, I printed half on the front, I printed half on the back, bunch of different sizes, bunch of different colors. And then I'm like, oh, if I order 500, I can get a 5% discount. Oh, man, I might as well do that. I want to leave money on the table. Well, guess what? I had 490 shirts left over, right?
Yeah.
I ended up giving away, right? Because the only people that were wearing it were my family. Like, I had this like, oh, if they buy them each for, $15 at the time, and I spent $5, I'll get $10 a shirt. Oh man, look at all this money I can make. I'm not in the business of selling shirts, right? I was in the business of delivering coffee. So I totally tied up inventory in the beginning of my business that I should not have tied up, for sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, I did the same thing. We first started our business 2021, 2022. We went to the Lone Star Bike Rally down in Galveston, Texas. It's like 3 days. It's bike week. So we were there for the last couple days of it. It's super cool event. It's amazing. We said we were going to make $1 million. So what did we do? We made a couple design of shirts. We had 2 shirt designs that we were like, they're going to smack. They're going to be so good that we're going to run out after day 1. Yeah, I still got those freaking shirts in the bin, right? And so now what I'm looking to do is go to a couple of different nonprofits and just donate the shirts and go, here, you guys can have these. I need to write it off anyway. That's been inventory that's sitting for so long. I'll make it a charitable donation. And then you guys can sell these shirts to fundraise for whatever, or just wear them to clean up around your building or change the oil. I really don't care at this point, but like we overextended ourselves there and spent a lot of money on inventory that doesn't work, which has now transitioned into my new model of things where I just bring blank shirts with the images and I bring blank hats with our leather patches and go, what do you want on this thing? I make it, finish it, you walk out the door with it. So now, like, I have all the shirts, but they're not made, which means I can put whatever I want on them, right? So we've kind of changed our viewpoint on that a little bit. And it seems to work out well because when someone can pick what they want to put on something, it works good. But that it's that whole thing that I was saying. So overextended ourselves in that first one, just like you. I've got a lot. We could probably compare shirts. They're probably the same. And when you look at them today, you're like, man, those things, they don't look that good.
Oh yeah, I mean,
They're not awesome.
the graphic once I blew it up was not good. Like it should have had a better resolution. I probably paid a couple $100 for it from some college kid that designed it back in the day. There was no AI back then, and and nobody wanted the shirt with it on the back. I thought a lot of people wanted the logo stuff on the back, and nobody did. They all wanted it on the front. I'm like, man, half of my shirts are on the back. I could barely give them away. Yeah, but yeah, so I want to make sure that we have a little bit of time for Q&A here, Hal. So if there's anything else that we want to get into or just kind of open it up, Mo's been patient here. I don't know if he's even able to speak or not. He might be at work.
Let's see if Mo has anything. If not, I can pepper him for the last 8 minutes here.
Yeah, so Mo, give me a second here. I'm going to open you up and give you permission to unmute yourself and pull on your camera if you want to or are able to. So give me 1 second here. All right, so you should be all set now, Mo, to unmute yourself if you want to, or go on camera.
Hey guys, yeah, it's been a great discussion. I don't really, all the questions that I've had were kind of answered during the time that you guys have been talking. Um, I appreciate Matt's perspective on things, and everybody else. You guys excuse me, you guys ask good questions. So but thanks for this whole thing right here.
Yeah,
Kind of
absolutely.
new
You
to
want to just
the community.
Yeah, appreciate that, Mo. You want to just take a second to introduce yourself or your business?
Oh, sure. I'm Mo. My business is Growth Exponent. Um, I think me and David are the same kind of coaches for we from Focus.com. Um, I I'm in a rebuild phase of my business right now. I'm trying to get new conversations going, and I've got everything up. I'm just just going through the motions of figuring out my elevator pitch and figuring out how to help businesses create profit, and that's pretty much that.
Yeah, and I will say in your business and our industry here, and yes, I was a member of Focus for a while there. I switched out of Focus when I had this platform when we built this on school. It was just a easier, better model for myself to produce content. But I think to Matt's point earlier, your service model that you're providing here as solutions for small businesses, you have to build that rapport, you have to build that trust because it's a higher ticket item, right? So you need to be the one listening. You need to be the one at the end of the conversation that didn't just dump truck everything you could possibly do for any given business without knowing what their unique business and where they're at in their business and where the pains are. So you have to do more like what Matt does and just listen. Just listen, and then offer something. And even if it's a little solution for free, it's just a way for you to show almost like good faith. Like Matt, how long were you in recruiting?
15 and a half years, 16,
Holy cow, wow, you got me.
Wow. I was a career recruiter, bro. Career hire. Let's do it.
Well, I thought 8 years was more than career. I think the average person made it like 9 months. Like that was the turnover for Army recruiters.
Yeah,
like it was brutal.
36 1-month tours, baby.
Oh man. So, but the reason why I asked that is because I'm assuming kind of like you, those centers of influence, right? Just taking care of people, even people that you gave some attention to that might not have panned out, that you weren't able to enlist. Some of those were my best referral sources. The
Oh yeah.
people that, got shot down somewhere else with another service, they came to me and I'm like, hey, I'll give it a shot. You know what? I'll tutor you for the ASVAB. I went a little bit above and beyond and I just helped them. They ended up being my best salespeople. Right. So,
Yeah.
Mo, you'll probably see it with you too. If you just try to help people out, you just listen, and you just keep putting yourself out there, eventually that kind of referral network will start becoming around. And then you don't have to sell yourself as much. Because if somebody comes in through a referral, somebody else already trusts you. So it kind of lets down their guard a little bit. Right.
Very true.
Yep.
That's
I
very
actually
true.
wrote about that today in the Marketing Monday post about how the military is the best referral-based marketers in the world.
Oh yeah. I
So
mean,
go check
again,
that
we
out.
were in the machine. The machine is already built and set and ready for you to do it. You know what I mean? Like they have all the stuff there. A lot of times, what secrets to a castle or whatever you call it, my rebrand strategy is all around all of the freaking tools that we had when we were doing recruiting,
Hmm.
right? I have an electronic calendar, right? But it helps me to write down and see it in front of me so that I can see what I'm going to do today and this week and what holes do I have. Because I've got, again, like you see the art behind me. My wife does art and I help her manage that. And so like
Oh, shoot.
my phone calendar has a lot of shit on it, right? But I need to be able to see it on the table because then I can kind of see where my holes are and I know where I can put something too, right? And so it's just figuring that out. But yeah, dude, like uh Mo, I would just tell you, you're the expert in it. Record the videos and send it out there and start off with something like, hey, a lot of the people that I talk to have X problem.
Hmm.
It's common. This is one way that you could address that. If you're interested in learning more, reach out to me. Something simple as that could get you people to direct message you, email, Facebook, whatever. That's what I would do.
Always, yeah, always lead with value.
Yeah.
Value, value, value. Give more than you ask.
Yep. And which it's always weird to me. I watch those and I'm like, that sounds so dumb. And then I'm like, I think I want to call that guy. You're like, oh, but it's so good. Like
Yeah,
just
yeah.
simple. The
Cool.
KISS
Awesome.
model we were taught.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, speaking about so good, Matt, thanks for coming on here. This was so good. I know we covered a ton on here. We didn't get, it's crazy because we didn't get to talk too much about your business. We did hit on them a little bit. So I know you're not necessarily one to get out there and talk about your business without being asked. So I want to make sure that all the people know about your business, how to get a hold, and what you can do for them. So why don't you close us out here with your elevator pitch?
Yeah. So very, very work in progress. So for me, I make apparel and merchandise, hats, t-shirts. We can do tumblers. We can do small laser engraved items that will promote you, your business, your friends, or your family. Okay. If you need something that is custom made that goes on apparel, we can help you. All you have to do is go to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of those. The handle got your six, GOTUR, the number 6IX. Those are our handles on all those social platforms. And you can reach out to us directly there and we can get a message back to you. And if you're in Houston, Texas, and you want to purchase, sell, or rent a house, I can just help you do it. That's the simplicity of it. I will take care of you through that process. I'll give you all the opinions you don't need. And more importantly, if you're a veteran, you need to know what your benefits offer you. And we need to have a conversation. So if you go to Facebook, Instagram at Anchor Up TX, that is my handles there. So that's where people can get a hold of me.
Awesome, buddy. Well, Matt, thank you so much. This has been great. Appreciate everybody hopping on, and we'll see you in the school community. Thanks, everybody. Have a great
Yeah,
one.
thank you.
Yeah.
Just real quick, everybody, too. So we're going to start doing right after these Monday calls. Anybody premium or VIP member, there's going to be group coaching sessions for individuals. So we're going to start hosting that directly after these Monday classes, starting this week. All right, everyone. Well, appreciate it. And we'll post this on the platform. And yeah, let's see the comments. Work together and help each other out. Everyone, take care. Stay profitable.